Everyone has their own version of a shared dream. Ours was a house. Not a mansion. Just something modest, permanent, warm. A porch where we could drink coffee in the morning. 3 bedrooms. A kitchen with enough space for 2 people to dance in. It was our version of arriving. So I worked. Hard. Late nights blurred into early mornings. Weekends disappeared into overtime. Every dollar I earned felt like a brick in that future home. I took pride in it, not because I loved my job, but because it felt like love in motion. Sacrifice with a purpose. She would send me links to listings, paint swatches, Pinterest boards full of backsplash tiles and garden paths. It made the work feel worth it. But something shifted. The silence between us started to stretch. She said I was always tired, distracted, not really present. I thought we were aligned, that the long hours were an investment in us. She saw them as distance. I'd get home after 10, drop my keys on the counter, and she'd already be in bed scrolling through her phone, eyes dull. I started noticing small things. The way her eyes glazed over when I talked about the mortgage approval. How she stopped making dinner for both of us, and just made something quick for herself. Her phone, once tossed casually on the kitchen island, now traveled with her room to room. She was distracted too, but in a different way. The first business trip didn't raise any alarms. She'd started freelancing again, said a client wanted face-to-face strategy sessions. She left on a Friday, came back Sunday night. I didn't think much of it. She seemed energized, upbeat. Maybe a break had been good for her. But the trips kept happening. More often. Sometimes just overnight. Sometimes not. She became harder to reach. Texts went unanswered. Calls were brief. I told myself it was just work. Then one night, while looking for a receipt in her purse, I found a hotel bill. Different city. 2 nights. The name on the booking was hers, but the room had 2 guests listed. I didn't ask. I just memorized the details. That week, I installed a small camera inside the dash of her car. It was motion-activated, hidden inside an old air freshener casing. I felt sick doing it. Not because it was wrong, but because part of me already knew what I'd find. I didn't eat dinner that night. Just sat in the garage, waiting for the camera feed to sync. The footage loaded slow. My hands were sweating as I watched. She pulled into a lot behind some cheap strip mall. Not a place anyone would choose to park unless they wanted to be unnoticed. A man approached her car. He kissed her. She smiled. He got in. It was too calm. Too practiced. No hesitation. This wasn't new. That night she was curled on the couch when I walked back in. Same hoodie she always wore when she wanted to look casual. She smiled, said something about her day. I nodded. That's all I could do. It became routine. She left in the morning. I watched the camera. Sometimes she met him. Sometimes not. But the pattern was clear. A rhythm. One I wasn't part of. She didn't hide well. Or maybe she stopped caring. Her passwords didn't change. Her bookings were visible in our shared inbox. She took less care with her excuses. Once, she asked me to pick up dry cleaning that wasn't there. Another time, she said she was out of town, but her phone connected to our Wi-Fi at 2 a.m. I didn't confront her. I waited. I told her I had a work trip of my own. Overnight. A Saturday training in another city. She barely responded. Instead, I booked a room at the hotel I'd seen on her receipts. 4th floor. 2 doors down from hers. The night came. She arrived around 8. Same silver SUV. Same hair, pinned back just enough to look effortless. A man followed minutes later. Black sedan. Confident walk. They entered together. Smiling. Laughing. I waited 10 minutes, then took the stairs. The hallway was silent. Room 512. I stood outside. Heard voices. The kind of quiet reserved for people who know each other well. I didn't knock. I didn't say a word. I walked back to my room. The envelope was already sealed. Divorce papers inside. Signed. Only her part left blank. A short note clipped to the front. No accusations? Just a sentence. You don't need to lie anymore. At 4:30 a.m. I slipped it under their door. Walked to my car before the sun came up. No one saw me leave. And that was the last morning I ever woke up wondering where she was. The hotel was forgettable. Beige walls. Dim lighting. A bowl of dusty peppermints at the front desk. I checked in under a fake name. No questions asked? The clerk handed me a keycard without looking up. Room 408. 2 doors down from the room she always booked. The space smelled like old air conditioning and bleach. I dropped my bag and sat on the bed. Curtains drawn. Laptop open. The camera feed synced without trouble. Around 8 she pulled into the lot. Same silver SUV. She parked in the far corner. A second car arrived a minute later. Black sedan. He got out. Walked to her car. Kissed her through the open window. She smiled. He climbed in. They sat there for a moment. Then drove to the other side of the building and entered through the back. I watched them disappear into the elevator. I knew exactly where they were going. I waited. Let 10 minutes pass. Then I left my room and walked the stairs. Room 512. Her room. Their room. I stood outside the door. I could hear the soft murmur of voices inside. Laughter. Then nothing. The kind of silence you don't mistake. I didn't knock. Didn't speak. Just turned and walked away. Back in my room, I sat down. Pulled out the envelope. The papers were already signed on my end. The note was already written. I read it once more. Just to feel the finality. At 4:30 in the morning, I slid the envelope under their door. No confrontation. No closure. Just paper. And then I left. 3 hours west, I checked into a nameless Airbnb. 1 room. A stiff bed. A lamp that flickered when turned on. I didn't check my phone. Didn't eat. Just lay on the floor. Staring at the ceiling. There were no more questions. No more what-ifs. No more doubt. I had seen what I needed to see. And that was enough. I didn't return home that day. Or the next. The distance felt necessary. I turned off my phone, left it face down, and walked the shoreline of that quiet lake. The silence wasn't comforting, but it made sense. Eventually, the voicemails came. The first one arrived just after 7 in the morning. She sounded nervous. Hurt. Asking to talk. Promising to explain. I didn't listen to it all. The second came later. Her tone had shifted. Sharper now. Blaming me for the silence. Accusing me of being cold. Of dropping papers like some stranger. She said she deserved more than that. I paused the message and let it delete itself. Later, a third message arrived. This one quieter. She asked if I had known about the camera. She already knew the answer. Text messages followed. One after another. Short at first. Then longer. She tried different angles, guilt, nostalgia, regret. She said the other man had left. That he never really loved her. She told me it meant nothing. That she still loved me. She didn't realize that I was already gone. A friend of hers called. Rachel. She said Erin wasn't doing well. That she was falling apart. That she was back at the same hotel. I didn't say much. Just listened. When Rachel stopped talking, I told her I hoped Erin found whatever it was she kept looking for. Then I hung up. More texts followed. She sent photos, old videos, even a screenshot of a letter I once wrote her. It was like watching someone trying to tape a broken mirror together. Each message more desperate than the last. Then a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a framed photo from an old trip. Charleston. Her smile caught in golden light. She looked like someone still alive. Behind the frame, she had taped a short note. She said she was wrong. About everything. That I gave and she didn't see it. That I should have yelled. That she wished she had hurt while I still loved her. She ended it by saying she still did. She was right. None of it mattered anymore. That night I sat in the dark. Balcony door open. Music low. The city moved below me like it always had. I wasn't sad. Just still. I had stopped waiting. She wasn't chasing forgiveness. She was running from her own reflection. Work became my refuge. I returned to the office without ceremony. No one asked questions. I didn't offer answers. I moved through the days like I belonged to them again. She moved out on a Thursday. Sent a brief message around noon saying she'd take a few of her things. Said the key would be on the counter. When I got home, half the closet was empty. Her perfume bottles gone. The place smelled like air and dust. She didn't even take her plants. They sat by the window, sagging, untouched. Her key lay beside the sink. Clean. Final. She showed up at the office later that week. Waited in the lobby. Someone called up to say my wife was downstairs. I told them she wasn't. I didn't go down. That night, more texts. She said he left. Said the fantasy crumbled. Said she wasn't who he thought she was. I said nothing. The silence became its own answer. Days passed. Then a package arrived. Another photo. Another memory. This time, the two of us in our first apartment, sitting on the floor, eating pizza. She wrote that I was the only thing that ever felt real. That she'd ruined it. I kept the photo. Not out of sentiment. But because the moment had been real. Once. Before it all slipped. I ran into her by accident. Grocery store lot. She was in a car I didn't recognize. Our eyes met. She froze. I nodded once. Kept walking. She watched me the whole way to my car. Later that night, she sent another message. Said I'd looked right through her. And she was right. I had. People began asking where she'd gone. Friends. My sister. I told them it didn't work out. That she was gone. No one pushed for more. I fell into routine. Running. Cooking for one. Reading. I started sleeping again. Real sleep. The kind without questions. One evening, I found an old voice memo from her. A soft, late-night thought. She wondered if we stopped seeing each other before we stopped loving each other. I didn't need to wonder. She stopped loving first. I just needed time to catch up. She came to the apartment one evening. No warning. Just a knock at the door. I'd just returned from the gym. Damp shirt. Tired legs. I opened it without thinking. She stood there like she hadn't already walked out of this life. Her posture was careful. Her face uncertain. She carried herself like someone asking to be let back into a room that no longer existed. I let her in. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to see what would happen if I did. She wandered the room. Touched the bookshelf. Looked at the couch like it had changed. Said the place felt smaller. I said nothing. She stood. I sat. Neither of us filled the space with more than was necessary. She placed an envelope on the table. Said it was something she'd written. Something that had to be said, even if I never read it. I didn't touch it. She told me she knew she had lost me. Said it plainly. Like someone who had rehearsed the line too many times. She mentioned the house, the one we almost bought. Said she still drove past it sometimes. I said I did too. Not on purpose. It was just on the way. She asked if I ever would have told her I knew. I told her I wouldn't have. There was no point. The damage had already bloomed. She wanted to know what hurt most. There were 100 answers. But the one that surfaced was simple, the ease with which she'd lied. How naturally it came to her in the end. She said she missed the quiet between us. Said it used to annoy her, but now she missed it. Still, I said nothing. Eventually she stood to leave. Said she wouldn't come back again. I believed her. At the door, she looked over her shoulder. Said I had been the best part of her life, and she had ruined it. After she left, I opened the envelope. Her handwriting curled unevenly. It was a confession without plea. She described the nights she still spoke to me out loud, knowing I wasn't there. Said she didn't know how to carry the silence. That she hoped someone would love me the way she couldn't. That I deserved someone who would earn my quiet. I folded the paper, slid it into the drawer. Then I sat down and listened to the stillness she once claimed to miss. After she left that night, things stayed quiet. No more texts. No more unexpected visits. The silence she once feared now stretched long and unbroken. I didn't wait for her to break it. I no longer reached for my phone in the mornings. I didn't replay memories on loop. The space around me felt lighter, like the weight of second-guessing had finally lifted. Spring came. The city changed. Air warmer. Mornings brighter. I picked up running again. Same route every day. Past the bakery she once loved. Past the bench where we once argued and laughed, thinking it meant something. I passed it all without slowing down. One night she reached out. A short message. She wanted to ask a question. I said she could. She asked when I knew it was over. I told her the hotel room. There was nothing left to explain. Later came a letter. Real paper. A thick envelope with no return address. Inside, pages of confessions. Every detail. Every lie. Every moment she betrayed the silence between us. She wrote not to be forgiven, but to be heard. Said she had carried it too long. That even while losing me, she saw me. She saw the man who worked late. Who cleaned gutters in the rain. Who forgave too much. And that she would live knowing she was the reason I didn't get the love I deserved. I folded the letter. Placed it in the drawer with the others. I didn't burn it. Didn't tear it apart. I just let it rest. Like a record no longer worth playing. People still ask about her. I say we grew apart. I don't add more. Some truths only belong to the ones who lived them. Life continued. Quieter. Cleaner. My routines returned. I started cooking more. Sleeping better. There was no drama in the silence. Just a kind of steadiness I hadn't known I missed. I bought a new plant. Small, low maintenance. Something that didn't need much, but still grew. Sometimes, in the quiet of night, I sit by the window. Not to think of her. Not to grieve. Just to sit. With music low. A drink in hand. And know that nothing is unfinished. Months later, one last message came. She said she hoped I found peace. I didn't reply. She already knew. Because peace doesn't come with answers. It comes when the questions stop mattering.